Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'll be taking a look at the Anthology Rust Belt Review, Volume 6. I messed up somehow, and I didn't catch this when it came out. I'll also, be recording next, Volume 7, which just came out. And look at that, it's got a sweet hologram or foil on the cover. But somehow I missed number 6, which is not cool because this is my favorite anthology going right now. And I had to rectify that and get that when I ordered number 7, and we got to do a review of it because there's too much good stuff in here. As I do with anthologies, I'm just going to show like one page from each artist so you get a sense of it. Rust Belt Review, and this first spread gives a pretty good sense of the aesthetic of it, is pretty much focused on people who grew up in like small town rural America doing stories, and a lot of the stories are set in that vein. So this first one by Lynn Allie is like that. You got these girls running around in the woods. I was really impressed by this story. This is an artist I want to see a lot more, but someone who gives a real sense of space and place in the backgrounds of the art, and has some really good fluid cartooning of the characters, some really good writing. Most of the stories in here are pretty like slice of life, down to earth stuff. I would say the general aesthetic of the book is like really, really solid cartooning to functional cartooning, people whose cartooning is there just to tell the story. And everyone is a very good literate writer. I feel like this is some of the more, when you say literature and you're talking about just, slice of life type of stuff, this is as good as it gets, really. And Lynn Allie really, really caught my attention in this. So this is someone that I'll be looking up and following and trying to get more of their work. The next story is about Playboy Dan, and this is by David G. Caldwell. It seems to be autobiographical, talking about working at the Great Escape Records, games, comics, and movies. So like a used bookstore. Reminds me a lot of Second and Charles. Looks like Second and Charles. Some of my favorite shopping experiences in the last few years have been at stores like this. So that's kind of a fun addition to the story. But it's talking about a character that came in and would just always, whenever they had a sale, would scoop up all the videotapes and Playboy magazines, so they called him Playboy Dan. So yeah, that's just the kind of another good example of the type of down-to-earth stories that are largely in this book. Now, not everything is a straight up like down-to-earth or autobiographical story. There's some funnier stuff in here, some wilder stuff as well. So here we've got Brian Canini. I've done reviews of a number of Brian Canini's things. Love Brian's work. But damn you, Canini. You beat me to an idea that I wanted to do, but in this story he doesn't take it to the place I wanted to take it to, so I can't say damn you too much, but damn you, Canini. This is the Sorority Girl Book Club, and he's basically got these characters sitting there talking about the books that they've read, and then it evolves into like a story from there, whereas what I want to do is just like do literary criticism by having a book club. And he's doing that in these first couple pages, which is when I started reading. I was like, God damn it, Brian. But it's really well written. It's really funny. So I'm going to read this first page. I think it was a beautiful expression of class struggles and the ripple effects of the choices we make in our youth. It also shows how with the right amount of perseverance and like tenacity, we can break through the walls society has built around us. I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, Angela's right. The book was totally transcendent. Oh my God, you guys, right? I feel so much for Bella's struggle, like womanly struggle. This book like touched me. So good. Then we all agree Twilight is great. So I love that, this like deep societal analysis leading to we're talking about Twilight. From there, the story devolves into, well, I shouldn't say devolves, but it morphs into something other than a book club, which is also pretty funny, but I don't want to get into that. So damn you, Canini, but also thank you for not just making it only a book club, because that's still something I want to try out. The next story, How to Walk by Valerie Light, is a really, really intense bit of autobiography. This is talking about growing up as a young girl, being trained to have like perfect posture and like do the perfect aerial hair flip, and talking about being prepared for dance competitions and things like that. So the experience of being a young woman in the environment where their bodies are very much on display. And the panel that really like fucked me up reading it was this one where she's talking about her and her friends going around ranking things. So you totally don't have love handles, Bridget. Thanks, Ava. But guys, does my butt wiggle when I walk? So talking about like assessing each other and each other's bodies and like having each other tell you how you're looking. Are my thighs jiggling? Am I walking the right way to make sure that I don't jiggle? All that stuff. And this one panel that's just like hyper focused on these like kind of prepubescent, barely pubescent teens' asses. Really makes you uncomfortable with like the societal gaze. But it also like it's not sitting there leaning into the standard like male gaze thing, even though that's like part of this. It's also showing how these pressures are coming from the girls themselves and how they're learning them from each other and from their mothers and all of this stuff. So like you see the little boy here checking out like the cute girls, but they're also checking each other out. And I think that's part of what made it very powerful. And it just makes it like very icky. So it's a really interesting bit of autobiography, and I'll talk more about Valerie's stuff when I talk about issue 7. We've got an entry from Alex Nall. Alex is one of my favorite writers going right now in comics. This Brain Bleed one I first read it, I think it first came out in here, but I first read it in the newest issue of Town and County, which is a collection of Alex's stuff. All of Alex's stories are set in one town. Again, a very rural environment with a small town vibe, and you kind of get to know all the characters in the town. So all the different short stories just tell different instances from different characters' life in the town. This one's called Brain Bleed and is about one of the jocks in the town getting a brain bleed. Really good story. I think in the Town and County it's colored, or there's some other digital effects going on that weren't in here. So it's interesting to see. I'm gonna have to compare the two and see how it got reworked. Then there's a story called Lemur Man by Andrew Greenstone. Andrew Greenstone had work in previous issues. There was an ongoing story about a guy like capturing some people and holding them underground, I think, in like a Squid Game type of thing. So this stuff is a little bit less grounded in reality. Like this one is a story about the Lemur Man. It's a myth. If you find the well and perform a ritual in front of it after the zoo closes, then the lemur man will crawl out and turn you into your favorite animal. And one of the kids asked, what if your favorite animal is a human? So that plays its way into the story. But some really, really nice cartooning in this. I really like Greenstone's style, and the stories have been fun. This one's a one and done. It's not an ongoing. Then there's a number of pages from Maggie Umber called Those Fucking Eyes. I couldn't read it as a comic. To me, they were just a series of unrelated illustrations. They look like they might be monoprints where there's like ink being smeared around on a copper or like some kind of metal plate and then being squished onto the paper to make an impression, but I could be wrong about that. That could be ink wash and maybe some charcoal mixed in. I'm not sure on the medium. They look more like a monotype to me though. They have like that greasy, oily look of a mono print. Like if this was oil painted onto something and then squished onto paper. But it was hard to read it as a comic. I've been seeing a lot of positive reviews for Maggie Umber's Chrysanthemum in Waves, but it looks like this kind of thing as well, where it's just more illustrations than a comic, so I haven't got it yet. If anyone has read that and can tell me how narrative it actually is, because the art here is absolutely lovely. It's just, I don't typically buy art books, I buy comics, so I've been holding off on that one. But if someone could tell me that it's like actually a series of short stories or one story with the through line, I'd be more inclined to check that out, because this is some absolutely lovely drawing. Matt MacFarland is doing in this issue, the next issue, and I think the previous issue as well, one of my favorite ongoing features now in the Russ Wrote review, which is OK Cryptid, where you got all these cryptid monsters like representing basically stories what I'm assumed from is Matt MacFarland's experience with online dating. It's really, really funny, really, really well written, and there's a lot of really nice art in it. I especially like these pages where he's done a wash or something and then it got a white pencil and colored back over top of them. I think it gives a really nice certain look. And I love the cartooning on this face on top of this, like, this person's worried about a text message they're sending, like, hey, I miss you. And then they get a response and it's like, oh, everything's great. So painfully awkward moments in here, but that's online dating. So there you go. Really enjoyable stuff. There's a few short stories by Anna Pando throughout the book. I just chose this one because it's a double page spread. This one is, again, a little bit more surreal, where you have a girl walks into the wrong apartment building and then finds someone who looks exactly like her living in like the mirror image apartment from where hers would be on the other side of the street, and they share the same name and everything. So there's the other AP, the other Anna Pando. Then this issue you actually get a color feature. This is the penultimate episode of Best of Three by Sean Knickerbocker. Sean is the editor also of Rust Belt Review, and you can see that Sean is a phenomenal cartoonist in his own right. Feels very much like in the Sammy Harcum lineage, and is telling this story about their playing cards that are worth a lot of money that these people are trying to steal from an inheritance. And this has been playing out since the very first issue of Rust Belt Review. They're normally in black and white. I don't know why this one chapter needed to be in color, but hopefully this will all be getting collected and then put in color, since the color work looks really nice as well. And then this issue has one more piece from Anna Pando and a really, really lovely piece of cartooning by John Sammis. There's been more work by John in previous anthologies. Super slick, clean cartooning. Really love it. When I look John Sammis up, it doesn't look like there's been much work done yet, but I hope there's a lot of John Sammis work to come, because this is really, really lovely stuff. It reminds me of, I'm going to blank on the guy's name, but he does the Wally Groipus stuff that Fantagraphic publishes. The same type of really slick cartooning. These are funnier to me than the other cartoons that I'm blanking on, so I'm really looking forward to seeing some John Sammis. But yeah, this whole big battle going on, and really it's just this adult here sitting playing with his train set. So Rust Belt Review continues to remain, I think, one of the best curated anthologies that's going on right now. I think Sean Knickerbocker has amazing taste in cartoonists, and not just that, but they're all cartoonists who are really, really great writers, and the thing feels like it's got a cohesive view of reality, which a lot of times anthologies are just like, here's all the cool people I like, which is fine. I love that. I love getting exposed to things, but this feels like a very focused aesthetic, and I think the title, the Rust Belt Review, is very well chosen. Like, that is the kind of ethic behind the thing. This is the worldview that's being represented in here, and it's just such a tight package and so tasteful.